Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of KPW War Zone. It is I, Tapy Styles, calling the action right down the middle, flying solo as always, and we have one hell of a card to bring to you here tonight as KPW sets the table for SUMMERSPARK, our next monthly special event on June 27th. There are important pieces at hand. There are important moves to be made, including our main event of the evening, as Dynamite Danny Axel looks to make a bid for it all, looks to take a bet on himself as he goes one-on-one against the Pitbull K-Dogg in our main event of the evening. Major implications at hand here. K-Dogg could use this matchup as a final lifeline to get his hands on Popcorn Papi, a man that he has uncouth, seethed jealousy for. And Dynamite Danny Axel, a man that has certainly seen some changes over the past several weeks. A man that has very well alienated many of his closest friends in his desperate pursuit for the gold. This is the ticket he needs to punch in for the 27th at SUMMERSPARK, and all he has to do is run through one half of the Hellhounds in the main event. But that is not all, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be seeing tag team action here tonight as well, as Chaos Control, Kruger, Papyrus off to a bit of a bumpy start after last week's count-out defeat. They could set the tone a bit more demonstrably and more dominantly when they take on the BamBus, Bam Dardino, Ricky Rhombus, close confidants at one point of the aforementioned Dynamite Danny Axel. One has to wonder what is racing through the minds of the BamBus, and one has to wonder what kind of peril they're going to be putting themselves in when they go up against Chaos Control here tonight. And that is not all, folks. The tag team champions are here in the building here tonight, as Bawb and Steven Gielberg will be asked and reached out for interviewing much later on in the program. But speaking of champions, we cannot talk about champions without mentioning the presence of the KPW American Champion, James Kay Zee, and he is looking to make his appearance here tonight. He is looking to make his presence here tonight very physical, as he goes one-on-one against one half of the Boise Boys, David Rush. He's gonna have his hands full here tonight. He is already setting the tone for the rest of the KPW American Champions before and after as a valiant fighting champion. But if you want to talk about hunger, who wants opportunity, who wants to vie for a chance at the limelight? We have to mention that the KPW board of directors have confirmed an Iron Gauntlet match for SUMMERSPARK on the 27th, folks. 8 men will enter, 1 man will walk out. The KPW Twitch champion, Opulence, will be taking on 7 different challengers in the efforts to maintain his Twitch championship reign. And these 3 men coming up here will be contesting in the first ever 3-way dance in KPW history, as Hosway, T-Nova, and Tape look to set history here tonight. But before we get down to ringside, I understand that standing backstage here, we have cameras rolling as Dynamite Danny Axel has ran into one of the men in the locker room that have known him longer than anybody else. The 2026 Lethal Lottery winner, the Viceroy Jedi. Let's get some cameras on this, folks.
I've been waiting to tell you this to your face, Danny, but even for me, what you did at Mayhem was depraved. I don't like or trust Robbie Deuce. I have my reasons. But you've pushed things too far.
Jedi, don't try and give me any kind of moral diatribe. You're the most compromised man on that front in this entire sport. I did what I had to do at Mayhem. Robbie Deuce is a delusional maniac, spreading lies, slander about me.
Compromised? You're gonna tell me I'm compromised? Mr. Glasshouse, what the hell makes you think my morals are compromised?
What the hell do you think I meant when I said your morals are compromised? You leveraged Popcorn Papi into a plea bargain. You stuck your beak in his business, and now that he's got me to worry about in 3 weeks, you're between a rock and a hard place. Whose interest are you protecting? You aren't protecting mine, and I've known you for a long time. You don't care much about your client either.
Client? Why the hell would the world champion be my personal client? Look at what I'm holding, dumbass. The Lethal Lottery briefcase. I got all the time I can think of to cash in this bad boy, and as long as I have this briefcase, I'm the most powerful man in this locker room. I don't need to strike a deal with Popcorn Papi when I can cash in on his ass whenever I want. The only deal that ever went through was giving him my word that I wouldn't interfere at Fear and Loathing. A deal I couldn't hold because the hellhounds had to bitch and moan their way into grown adult business. And I got a whole lot left to settle with them after what happened at Mayhem.
Deal or no deal, you've been moving a real particular way, and I don't trust it for a second. Nobody should. You're digging a hell of a hole for yourself. And if you spread yourself that thin, it'll be easier for Solo the next time around.
I don't give a damn if you believe me or not, Dan. You're getting this straight from the mouth of the Viceroy. If you can't believe it because you don't like the answer I gave you, learn to live with it. And by the way, you want to tell me that I'm spreading myself too thin? You're getting far too comfortable these days. If the eyes in the back of your head still work, you should be watching your back like your life depends on it. After all, you're the #1 contender. I know plenty of people that would love to skip the line by stepping all over you tonight.
A tense conversation between two old friends. And Dynamite Danny Axel, he certainly had the leverage going into tonight's main event. As it stands, he still can be the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. But a victory over K-Dogg would certainly seal the deal. And that is exactly what these three men are marching down to the ring to do here in the Twitch division in KPW's first ever three-way dance. T Nova, a former Twitch champion. Hosway, a former Twitch champion himself. They've had quite some awkward encounters over the past several weeks. And tonight may not be any different. Hosway thinks that there's something between him and T Nova that they could work together on, that they could become a real tour de force in. Whether it's the Twitch division, whether it's the tag team division, he senses the potential of a strong alliance. And if that alliance forges here tonight, that is going to be a huge issue for this man rounding out the pack, the role model Tape. One of these three men will be raising their hands up high with the opportunity of a lifetime entering that Iron Gauntlet at SUMMERSPARK. 8 men will enter. 1 man will walk away with the Twitch Championship. And if I were Opulence, seeing these 3 men in the ring here for our first ever 3-way dance match in KPW history, that would certainly take the pressure off the shoulders of the Twitch champion, off the shoulders of the Diamond Dragon, at least a little bit. At least knowing who half of his opponents are ahead of SUMMERSPARK. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do not know what a 3-way dance entails, it is much different than a triple threat bout. A triple threat bout also involves 3 competitors, but that is one fall to a finish. This bout is elimination style. When one of these 3 men are eliminated by pinfall, countout, or submission, it becomes a singles matchup. And the last man standing, the man standing tall amongst all the rubble and debris, will be able to enter last in the Iron Gauntlet in just 3 weeks' time. Step up heel kick from Tape. Senton from T-Nova. Back elbow from Tape to T-Nova. Hosway gonna have to pick his battles very carefully. He spent the past month trying to strike up some kind of deal, some kind of arrangement with T-Nova. And this could be bad news for the Freedom Fighter. This could certainly open up a serious vulnerability going into tonight's match, because now he could be a direct target for Tape. This gets punched by T-Nova. Irish whip reversal by Hosway. Looking for that spinning wheel kick, but T-Nova ducks it. Tape strolling on through with a swinging DDT. A heel kick to the back of the head by Hosway, and this is exactly the kind of demeanor that the Viceroy was saying to his old pal Dynamite Danny Axel just minutes ago. You need to have eyes in the back of your head here in KPW, and this environment, this 3-way dance, is certainly a showcase for that kind of mentality here. High-low action on T-Nova, and he kicks out at 2. Lead official Slap Thigh Jones calling the action right down the middle. Each and every week, 115 weeks and counting, folks. Heel kick to the back of the head of Tape. Tape slowly getting back to his feet. Sunset flip covered. This could be an upset. And Tape damn near had his opportunity. His life flashed before his very eyes there. Just the slightest moment, the slightest opportunity to let your guard down, and you will certainly pay for it in this kind of matchup here. Hip check from T-Nova to Hosway. Hosway in signature yellow gear with black trim. T-Nova in his signature black and red apparel. Tape in black and pink here tonight. Lateral press by Tape. A kick out at 1 by Hosway. The role model, he's certainly the odd man out in this matchup. Out of the 3 men that have already been confirmed as challengers for Opulence at SUMMERSPARK. Tape is the only man in that ring without any singles accolades here in KPW. The only accolade he holds to his name is a tag team championship reign with the Misfit, Bawb, a man that we will be hearing from much later on here tonight. Single arm DDT by T-Nova. Roundhouse kick clears T-Nova out of the ring. Slapthigh Jones starting that 20 count for T-Nova. Wrist lock transitioned into a hook kick by Hosway. Reverse armbar by T-Nova. And what a way to start off Warzone here tonight. Some high octane, high intensity, high speed combat in the Twitch division. Tape looking to slow things down, trying to take things back to a more methodical pace, but he is in there with some younger, hungrier cats in that ring here tonight. He may have the experience advantage out of the three in this very ring, but it's all a numbers game here. He has a 1 in 3 chance of walking away as the victor, much like these other two men here, Hosway, T-Nova. We've seen these temporary alliances form here in this match already for all different combinations. Hosway going for a schoolboys, looking to steal it. And a kick out by Tape. Slapthigh Jones getting right back on top of the action as T-Nova was knocked outside of the ring. And a stiff forearm from Tape to Hosway. And one in the holster for T-Nova as well. Tape is firing off a couple rounds. Tandem offense from Hosway and T-Nova now. Hosway, T-Nova still struggling to get on the same page. Several weeks ago, we saw them team up at Fear and Loathing for separate championship opportunities. And Hosway went up to T-Nova, asked him if he could be a predictable and dependable tag team partner that night. T-Nova was able to hold up his end of the bargain, but they were not successful in their endeavors that night. Perhaps there's still some tension brewing among these two. That's certainly something that they will have to worry about. They're going to have another opportunity to release some of that tension at SUMMERSPARK. The only difference being on the 27th is that one of these three men will be entering that Iron Gauntlet for the KPW Twitch Championship last. And that will give them a massive advantage, not just over the reigning champion, but the other 6 challengers in the matchup. Uranagi from Tape to T-Nova. Swinging neckbreaker from Tape to Hosway. Tape scurrying off to the other side of the ring. And right behind T-Nova, clubbing him with a clothesline. Tape looking to follow up on Hosway with a brainbuster. Hosway floats out of it. Gets Tape off the vertical base, and he's going for a Mexican surfboard stretch. Tandem offense once again from Hosway and T-Nova. Regal plex to Tape. Power slam transition by T-Nova. Hosway with the running sentons. Tape being singled out here. creating quite a long list of enemies here in KPW, and tonight Tape is wandering himself through a minefield, having to deal with Hosway, having to deal with T-Nova. A little high-low action that might relieve the pressure a little bit. Hosway kicks out. Uranagi attempted on T-Nova. T-Nova was ready for it this time around. Power bomb countered by T-Nova, shoulders down. And Tape has been eliminated. We are down to 2. The cat-like reflexes of T-Nova. That expert wit coming into play there. That could have been some serious damage inflicted by Tape if he was able to drill T-Nova with that power bomb. But the Hurricane Rana counter, I don't think Tape was ready for it. He didn't even suspect anything of it. And Hosway has another chance to try and reason, to try and prove his worth, to try and show T-Nova his way of strategy here tonight. Currently some conflicting energies between these two in the ring, these two remaining men in the three-way dance. Armbar transition. Is Hosway gonna tap? Is he gonna quit? And T-Nova's got a golden opportunity. He will be the last man entering at SUMMERSPARK. And that's the music of the KPW Twitch champion, the Diamond Dragon Opulence, hopping over the guardrail. Looking to stand face to face with the man that may very well pose as the biggest threat to his championship reign at SUMMERSPARK, folks. Just when Opulence was just starting to kick things off with the Twitch championship that he just won 2 weeks ago at Mayhem. He may very well be looking into the eyes of the man that could take that title away in T-Nova. But he doesn't have just T-Nova to worry about. He still has 6 other competitors to deal with at SUMMERSPARK on the 27th. We know about Hosway, we know about Tape, but who else will be leading that charge to try and take the Diamond Dragons Twitch championship away? But speaking of champions, the KPW American champion will be in action up next as James Kay Zee goes one-on-one against one half of the Boise Boys, David Rush. Non-title action here tonight, but this could certainly create quite the opening for David Rush in the American Championship division. James Kay Zee, a fighting champion, one of the nastiest brawlers we've had to witness here in KPW history. This man has made one hell of a name for himself, running the hat trick on the sauce back at Mayhem to retain the American Championship. If anybody's been raising their stock considerably over the course of the spring, it has been this man, the American champion, James Kay Zee. He's had some high profile bouts here in KPW already. He's gone up against the likes of Ding. He's gone up against the likes of Pierre Cinema. And he's had quite the impeccable record against the Sauce. But now he's going up against one of the toughest men in that locker room. One of the most grizzled vets that KPW has ever known in David Rush. Wrong elbow tie up, scoop slam by David Rush. And this could be some hard hitting action, heavy hitting action from both of these men. David Rush. Head full of steam on that lariat. One of the most dominant tag team champions that we have ever seen in KPW history, alongside Hollywood Hannon. The Boise Boys have ruled the wrestling world as tag team champions here in KPW. Not once, not even twice, but 3 times. They've been able to set the pace for tag team excellence here. James Kay Zee spit in the face of David Rush. That's one hell of a counter to that power bomb that David Rush was going for. What the hell did he spray all over the face of David Rush? He's having a hard time trying to get it out of his eyes.
1, 2, 3.
Brawl to the outside. David Rush looking for a drop suplex on the floor. That could have been absolutely devastating for James Kay Zee. Back suplex from the American champion.
11, 12.
Headlock takeover by David Rush.
14, 15, 16.
And whatever the hell that is on the face and chest of David Rush, that looks to be like some sort of red mist. I'm almost certain that David Rush has to be seeing nothing but red right now. He has to be absolutely incensed here. In the blink of an eye, at the snap of a finger, James Kay Zee has changed the complexion of this entire bout with quite possibly one of the most brilliant counters we've ever seen. Release German suplex to David Rush. And David Rush going low on James Kay Zee. All's fair in love and war. And we are here tonight at the 115th episode of KPW War Zone. James Kay Zee looks like he had some... It looks like he had some chewing tobacco there as well. And David Rush is looking absolutely worse for wear here. James Kay Zee not even hesitating here, going for a rear naked choke, trying to seal the deal. James Kay Zee attempted to go for Reefer Madness, that patented double arm DDT. David Rush having enough of his bearings straight, having enough of his vision intact to stumble back into safety, even if it was for just a brief moment. And a hard left hook to the sternum of David Rush. Stereo German suplexes. What a dominant performance this is from the American champion. Irish whip reversed. by James Kay Zee, looking for that big boot. A hard right punch from David Rush takes down James Kay Zee, but David Rush, he is absolutely worse for wear going into this bout here, especially after those 2 powerbomb counters. Each and every time he goes for that powerbomb, it's gonna be harder and harder to pull off. James Kay Zee with a powerbomb of his own. Crucifix style sit-out pinfall attempt, but David Rush was at the ropes. James Kay Zee trying to go for that big boot. David Rush having enough veteran savviness and instinct to try and duck the maneuver. And James Kay Zee, he has had enough of this. He is looking to put an end to David Rush right here and now. Reefer Madness picking him up here. Stereo deal. Cover.
1, 2, 3, pinfall.
And in a dominant display, certainly an outcome that nobody had expected here tonight. James Kay Zee has dog walked David Rush here tonight on Warzone. We knew this was going to be a brutal bout. We knew that this was going to be a brawl. This was going to be hard hitting. This certainly got dirtier than anybody ever thought it could. And we thought David Rush, he had one hell of a fighting chance until that first power bomb attempt. James Kay Zee spitting in the eyes of David Rush to get out of the power bomb. That was certainly the call that changed the whole course of this bout, and certainly the call for James Kay Zee that secured him the victory here tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, as I'm receiving word from the board of directors, I'd like to take this time to roll out some of the card for next week's edition of Warzone. As next week, James Kay Zee will get another chance to do what he couldn't have done just a month before. Get a clean pinfall victory over the icon, the vigilante, the man they call Ding. Will be here next week on Warzone in action. Also to follow, the Scrapyard Saint solo will be in action against former Bunker Hill stablemate, the Heartthrob Popo, in one-on-one action. But also to follow in the American Championship division, Sergeant Foxtrot looks to work his way back to the American Championship when he goes one-on-one against France's greatest export, Pierre Cinema. But coming up next, tag team action between 2 flagship teams in the tag team division, as the BamBus, Bam Dardino, Ricky Rhombus, they'll be going one-on-one against Chaos Control, the 400-pound Papyrus, and the Master Manipulator, the brains behind the brawn, Kruger. In just a few short moments, but as I'm receiving word here, folks, understand that we have more footage being sent to us over at the truck. As we all heard last week on the program, we know that Corey Sinclair will be making his imminent return to KPW for the next several weeks. He is on his journey back to the squared circle. And it appears we have yet another prepared statement from the king of Stego style himself.
Three months shouldn't seem like a long time, but when all that time ticks away at you, as you're forced to watch the world move on without you, the isolation can mold you. My chain to the outside world has begun to tighten once more, and in due time, I'm gonna stand face to face with the man pulling that chain. I've called myself the king of Stego style before. It's almost time to show the world I'm capable of wearing that crown once more.
Corey Sinclair well on his way back, perhaps with a clearer mind than what we saw of him before, but only time will tell if that will make him a more dangerous combatant. And if anybody's about to step into the ring facing imminent danger, it is certainly the BamBus, Ricky Rhombus, Bam Dardino. The odds certainly stacked against their favor here tonight. They may have the experience edge. They may have more experience as tag team champions. They may know what it's like to fight in high pressure situations. But the sheer size of Kruger and Papyrus, that could be enough to overwhelm any team. We saw the damage done to the First Nation back at Mayhem when these two men put Slarty out to pasture. Sigma Shuko has been forced to go it alone these past several weeks as he struggles to regain and find his footing here in KPW without his tag team partner. Kruger and Papyrus, they look to make that critical step forward. They look to get one step closer to the one thing that has eluded them throughout their entire stay here in the home of fighting spirit, the KPW Tag Team Championships. Ricky Rhombus, as bold and as brash as his tag team partner, looks to start this bout off head full of steam against a man nearly twice his size, the 400-pound Papyrus. Papyrus whipping Ricky Rhombus right into his tag team partner. The unpredictability, the chaos that Papyrus and Kruger thrive on is exactly what makes them such a potent, permanent threat here to any tag team. That is exactly what made them such intimidating bodyguards for the man that used to run Parliament just as recent as 60 days ago, the now former Monarch Oliver English, a man who has also been casted in exile, perhaps a self-imposed one. Ricky Rhombus scoop slamming 400 pounds of beef. This could be over before it even gets started. Scissor kick to the back of the head of Papyrus. Blue Thunder Bomb. Cover. And the BamBus pick up a massive upset. Oh my God. The BamBus, they've been caught between a rock and a hard place themselves. Bam Dardino, Ricky Rhombus feeling betrayed by their mentor, the man that brought them into this sport, in Dynamite Danny Axel. Now learning to fend for themselves and think only for themselves. They're looking to pass through this tag team division with a burning vengeance. They are looking to get their hands on the tag team championships, and this is one hell of a way to send a message to the tag team champions, Bawb and Steven Gielberg. And coming up next, main event action. A KPW World Heavyweight Championship contender. Dynamite Danny Axel goes one-on-one against the Pitbull K-Dogg. The winner will take on the World Heavyweight Champion Popcorn Papi in just 19 nights, June 27th at SUMMERSPARK, and one of the biggest shows of the year. Before we get down to ringside for this high stakes main event bout, I understand that standing backstage with a prepared statement themselves are the tag team champions. The Misfit Bawb, the director, Steven Gielberg, they certainly have a lot on their plate. They certainly have a lot to address going into the hottest period of the year. Let's see what the tag team champions have to say for themselves.
Ever since I've thrown the checkbook at Bawb, these peons have referred to us as an unholy alliance. It only took us 2 goddamn weeks. 2 weeks to become the KPW Tag Team Champions. Who's gonna push our luck, huh? High Velocity. We've beat them twice in a row. They aren't getting shots anytime soon. The First Nation? They've pushed enough of their own luck. Shuko is the only one healthy, and that's still a one-armed bandit in a gunfight. The BamBus aren't deserving enough of a title shot, and Ding isn't even part of a tag team. And by the way, bit of a sidetrack for a second, but Ding, you got a lot of balls to take a swing at the ultimate male back there last week. I know you're not gonna make this easy for any of us, so why don't we just cut a deal? Cut 2 deals here tonight. We'll be here next week to defend these tag titles in an open challenge. There isn't a team with enough killer instinct around here to take these off of us so soon. But Bawb's getting paid no matter what. But here's the deal for you, Ding. Since you have such a hard time staying away, why don't we make plans for SUMMERSPARK? A singles contest. 1-on-1. You and Bawb, and I know Bawb is gonna finish that job to kick off the summer. For the first time ever, not just in any kind of match though. You can have Bawb on the 27th. In a casket match.
Whoa! When the director says he wants to put things to bed with the dinger, he doesn't want to just put him in any bed. He wants to put 6 feet of dirt in between himself and the icon. Not only is he throwing down the gauntlet to defend the tag team championship next week on Warzone, but he has also selected the Misfit, his ultimate male, Bawb, to eviscerate Ding at SUMMERSPARK. And evisceration is certainly on the mind of Dynamite Danny Axel. Evisceration is almost certainly guaranteed with this man, one half of the Hellhounds in K-Dogg. Third time could very well be the charm for this man. If he can beat Dynamite Danny Axel here tonight, he will go to SUMMERSPARK instead to take on Popcorn Papi once again. Dynamite Danny Axel making a beeline for the pit bull. Irish whip into the corner. K-Dogg taking the plunge. Oh my God.
2, 3, pinfall.
Dynamite Danny Axel making a rush for the pit bull. I can't believe what the hell just transpired. I have never seen anybody pick up a #1 contendership with such conviction here in KPW. That might be a new record. 23 seconds was all it took for Dynamite Danny Axel to punch his ticket to SUMMERSPARK. On the 27th. K-Dogg, he can't even believe what just happened. Lead official Slapthigh Jones, he's trying to tell him that was the match. And now K-Dogg, his frustration's getting the best of him. Dynamite Danny Axel pulling the ultimate blitz play here on the pit bull, and K-Dogg, he is frustrated to hell and back. This cold temperament of K-Dogg has been in full force. Since the end of March, he has taken that out. He is unleashing it on Dynamite Danny Axel. This is a moment that Danny Axel was waiting for several months for, ever since he came out of retirement. And K-Dogg, he is looking to take that opportunity away, as he is just wailing away. He is incensed. He is frustrated beyond belief. The pit bull is crashing out. Another chance at the World Heavyweight Championship has been squandered. Squashed like a bug for K-Dogg. And Dynamite Danny Axel, he is just getting the beating of a lifetime here. K-Dogg tossing Dynamite Danny Axel up the stage. K-Dogg believes that he is the spitting image of what a champion should be, but he's certainly not conducting himself like one. The way that he moves with such serpentry. The petulant behavior of the pit bull has gotten the best of him once again here. Dynamite Danny Axel getting his head planted on that concrete floor backstage here in the halls of the Kumite Forum. Oh my God! Security's got to get in and break this up here. This man is jeopardizing one of the biggest main events we have of the year. A lack of sportsmanship involved here. And Dynamite Danny Axel, he's been making some alienating decisions over the past several weeks, but I don't know if any of this was called for. Riz Crusher on the steel chair. And hopefully we can get some kind of security to break this up here.
K-Dogg, you petulant little brat. The board of directors have met you halfway each and every step of the way for at least 2 months now. This conduct is not going to be tolerated anymore. We have seen you get involved with top contenders for the world title, and we're not going to let you sabotage another big-time event with your tantrums. As officially ordered by the KPW Board of Directors, escort K-Dogg to the back of a squad car. He's spending the night behind bars for assault.
K-Dogg! He's looking to spend a cold night behind bars here. Event security. Maybe getting a bit excessive there against the pit bull, but K-Dogg is proving himself to be one of the most dangerous men here across all of KPW, jeopardizing the SUMMERSPARK main event, jeopardizing the safety of Dynamite Danny Axel. K-Dogg kicking and screaming his way through all this. K-Dogg getting escorted to the parking lot. Squad car waiting for the pit bull. He almost certainly has to be suspended without pay here in KPW. We've seen him scheme and connive his way through multiple opportunities. We've seen him endanger some of the best that KPW has to offer. K-Dogg trying to put his hands on the security here tonight. It would be a damn miracle if this man still has a job. And K-Dogg, he is getting the hell beat out of him. We heard last week that locker room conversation between Dynamite Danny Axel and the World Heavyweight Champion Popcorn Papi. That business had to be handled.
Do you know how many connections I got? Huh? Don't treat me like this, you sacks of shit. Ease up, you're hurting my arms.
K-Dogg getting escorted into the back of the squad car.
Y'all be good. I'm just gonna take him for a ride.
What the hell is
Listen
this?
to me, please. I'm sorry. I'll leave you alone for
Popcorn Papi, the world champions!
word.
He's commandeering a squad car! What the hell? Oh my god, is this what the world champion meant he was by handling business? This company might not even be big enough for the big of them.
But I'll let you
The both
have
of them.
one thing. You want to call yourself a hellhound?
Come on, man. Don't do this. You'll kill us both, you crazy bastard.
I'm
The
gonna
hell
give
does
you a
Popcorn
first-class
Papi have
ticket
in
to hell,
mind?
you little bitch.
Oh my god! Popcorn Papi has lost his freaking mind! We gotta get EMTs down here instantly. We gotta get ambulances. We gotta get cop cars. We might need the jaws of life for the pit bull. We might need the jaws of life for the world heavyweight champion. Oh my god! And Popcorn Papi, he's climbing out of the rubble. I don't know what the hell is going through the mind of the world heavyweight champion, but when he told Dynamite Danny Axel that he was going to handle business, he wasn't pulling any punches. Jesus! What is going to be the fate for the main event of SUMMERSPARK? What kind of condition is Popcorn Papi going to be in? What kind of condition is Dynamite Danny Axel going to be in? That is all the time we have here tonight. I've been Tapey Styles, the only man that can call the action right down the middle, flying solo as always. Wishing you all a good night, everybody.